We're back.
Pierogi.
From the land of pierogi, Zubrovka with cloudy apple juice, and just the safest pair of hands on planet Earth in terms of...
Poland, we were going to call the stream, Poland is a safe pair of hands.
I think it was originally, I was in a conversation with the co-author of the texting book I wrote, Mr. Thorpe, and he was like going through places of being, and he was like, Poland, great, safe pair of hands. So I think it originally came from him.
And we've just been saying it ever since, or just talking about how it's a safe pair of hands. Polish women are a safe pair of hands.
They
Polish
really
food, safe pair of hands. Everything's a safe pair of hands.
Everything's great. Also, we're in a brilliant hotel called Kuru. £60 a night. Upstairs rooftop.
£60 a night.
Rooftop bar where the great unwashed can come in and we can just kind of sit there. We've got, it's got a sauna steam room. It's great. We're opposite, right in the mixer near some really cool Polish restaurants. The weather's been okay. The women here obviously speak great English, very feminine,
very pretty.
Very pretty. I mean, it's just a great place to come.
It's just a safe pair of hands.
And on that note, actually, bit of admin before we get going with today's controversial topic. But we're going to run a impromptu Warsaw Bootcamp next weekend, so it will be Thursday to Sunday. The buy-in, we're going to do it at the reduced rate of £2,000. So the normal rate for these 4-day, 5-hour-a-day infill trainings is £3,079. We're going to do it for £2,079, so £1,000 off, just to
rally the troops.
Rally the troops, really. So the dates will be the second, Thursday the 2nd to Sunday the 5th. We've got 2 spaces remaining. Myself, Troy, and Mr. M will be in attendance. And just a quick kind of note, obviously get in touch, send us an email if you're interested, include your WhatsApp. One of us will jump on a call with you and kind of thrash out where you're at. And obviously, if you're based in Poland, great. If you want to fly in, I mean, you don't need a PCR to come here, so it's very easy to get in.
Very easy to get in.
Everything's fully open.
Certainly if you're coming from the UK, very easy to get in, not a problem.
And it's teeming with attractive girls. But just quick rundown of how it works. So we do 2 sessions a day. We do a 12 till 2:30 session, where we sit down 50 minutes at the beginning, just kind of like decide the goals for the day, for the approaching or the session. We then hammer you through the approaching for 2 hours, giving you feedback on your verbals, your body language, your voice quality. We're listening via mics to what you're doing and obviously watching and adjusting every step of the process. 2:30, then we have a little debrief. You then go off, do a bit of solo game, grab some lunch or go off with wings, and we come back for the second session, 5 till 7:30, another 2.5 hours, so 5 hours infield coaching per day. We give you the theory as you go, so as not to overload you. You meet some other cool guys, and it's quite intense. It's 4 days. COVID has forced us to be, and everyone to be a bit more flexible, which is great, because if you even just want to come in for 1 day, that's feasible, and we're doing that as a £650 for the day rate. So if you want to come for the whole boot camp, it's £2,000. If you want to come for 1 day, it's £650. 2 days times 650 by multiple days, basically. If you're interested, get in touch. Warsaw, Poland, next weekend, Thursday the 2nd to Sunday the 5th. You can come for 1, 2, 3, or the 4 days. We've got room for probably 2 more guys. And it's going to be a blast. So now that's done, get in touch. Obviously, send myself or Troy an email.
Troy at realtroyfrancis.com. Drop me an email.
Or info at James Tusk, and then we'll jump on the blow with you. It might not be the right fit, even if you're based in Warsaw. We might think, actually, you know what, you probably benefit from different type of coaching. But the progress you can make is remarkable. I went out yesterday, me and Mr. M went out with a guy who did a taster session, and he basically was shit scared. And by the end of the day, by the end of the 2 hour session, he got 5 numbers. He'd approached in multiple situations. He was getting comfortable with the process. You can make rapid strides and improvements in this. And if you've been sat essentially with your dick in your hand, doing the Einstein, the definition of insanity, which is just repeating the same mistakes, expecting different results, which is just a stupid way to learn, then, you know, something like this could shake it up. Getting some feedback on those blind spots where we did a free meetup yesterday with a number of guys, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was interesting speaking to them. They're all good guys, but it's just like a number of them have been banging their head against a brick wall. It's like, well, how long have you been doing this? And they were like, 2 years. I'm like, well, how many days are going on a week? They're like, well, I can't really even approach it. It's like, you need to fucking fix this. I mean, just be well aware that time is your most valuable asset. You never get back.
It's like anything, any process that you want to get good at, getting mentoring, getting somebody to have a look at what you're doing, getting somebody to tweak it is going to speed you up. It's just a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Anything that I'm good at, you guys, a number of you guys will have seen the shape I got into with JP. I was arsing around for 20 years thinking I knew what I was doing in the gym with diet and training because it's an ego thing, right? Ego investment, sunk cost fallacy. The fact is, he got me in shape in 12 weeks and I still fucked up the diet 10 times on big benders. But it was remarkable, the change, and that's just going to an expert. I can speak good Brazilian Portuguese now. How did I do that? Doing an hour a day with a professional teacher. Right? Anyone that's good at anyone. Do you really think Floyd Mayweather, trained himself to the top boxing wise? No. He's had incredible coaches, nutritionists. Get a coach, get someone you trust. If you watch our content, you clearly resonate with it in some degree. So drop us an email. We are your men for the job.
Indeed. And good to see ENS on the stream. Hello, sir. Hope you are.
Who's that?
He's a regular.
Not the guy from Chariots who we met the other day.
Swing, hi, Ian. I've still got your thong. DM me.
So what's the top?
Black Hill.
I'm aware we've got quite a good audience. So is it worth us shifting back, or are we okay here?
We could do. We're surrounded by people like onlookers.
Well, fuck it. Let's just go for it.
What would
Goggins do?
What would David Goggins do? If David Goggins was doing a live stream about a sensitive, controversial topic and he was surrounded by onlookers, would he move or would he do 4,000 pull-ups? Probably do 4,000 pull-ups and then do the live stream at the same time.
Can I just rate your guy Mark, the anxiety approach coach? I had a session with him, superb, James. I don't work with anyone called Mark, so I think you've had the wool pulled over your eyes there by someone pretending they work with me, which is absolutely brilliant. Send me an email and let's have a chat, but I don't work with anyone called Mark, so I think they may have possibly been marketing the fact they work with me and they don't work with me.
Naughty boy.
What a naughty
boy. Mark, son, you're a very naughty boy.
So what is the
black pill? What is the topic? Well, the topic is the real black pill, because there's this black pill thing. Everybody's like bang on about looks, bang on about how aesthetics are the only thing that matters, etc., etc. But the reality is that black pill looks is just the foreplay. All right, the actual sex is status. Okay, looks, yeah, it's a consideration on a lower level, but ultimately, the real reason that there is inequality in the sexual marketplace, the real reason that some guys are getting the spoils and other guys are impoverished in that economy, is the real thing that makes a difference. The real thing that works out, the mega uber successful guys, is actually status. It's not really anything to do with looks, because if you've got high enough status, then you are going to be successful regardless of your looks. So we were talking about this before. We were just saying it's kind of weird, isn't it? Really, you've got these black pill guys who are banging on the whole time about looks, and they're spending all this time making these videos and things like that. Why don't they instead acknowledge what is obviously the truth and say, look, the reason there's inequality is because of status? And then if you want to make a bunch of videos complaining about status and how high status guys, get all of the action, then you can do that. But it seems to me that all this look stuff is just almost like procrastination, really. It's a prevarication, avoiding the main issue, which is actually status. Because if you're, the president of Russia, or if you are some incredibly powerful politician, right, inevitably you are going to be successful in the sexual marketplace in a way that the average man can only dream of. That's got sod all to do with looks. And they will claim, well, most CEOs are over 6 foot, etc., based on some study that they pull out. And there may be some truth in that, but we all know the reality is a lot of the so-called elites, a lot of the mega wealthy, the mega powerful, they're not particularly good looking. Looks have got sod all to do with it. Do you think that those guys are going without in the sexual marketplace? Of course they're not. So the key thing is, looks is a bit of a red herring, really. Like you. Looks is a bit of a red herring. I'm just thinking, is it worth us switching to restaurants and we can get a booth to ourselves? We can shout and do whatever we want. We could do. Yeah, we'll just hold that thought, guys. We will transfer. All right, let's turn off the camera. All right, guys, we're gonna just transfer to a slightly different location.
Thumbing in a softie. There we go. We are. I think.
Here we are.
Is your webcam on? Yeah. All good. We're back. So let us know if you can hear us, guys. We'll speak a bit louder because we're aware of that.
Basically, we had to move because
if you move over here, then we'll have this thing fully in.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to move because we had a bit of an audience who were watching us, including one woman who was watching so intently. I think she's going to subscribe to the channel, and they seemed quite entertained by what we were saying. It was a little bit constraining. So
we couldn't shout.
We couldn't shout profanities, which is.
Is Troy an age maxer? Maybe.
What does that? What does that mean?
I don't know. So yeah, let's sum this back up. So why did the black pill focus so much on looks, do you think, rather than actually quite obviously saying that society has always really been built around?
Well, I mean, look,
status and power.
Yeah,
it's just that it's a no-brainer. The people at the top get laid, right, and everyone else.
Yeah, gets laid less. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. I mean, Genghis Khan, was he a Chad?
Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate one. I mean, we look at examples like I use the example of Mini-Me, right? He's now dead. The guy called Vern Troyer, who was in, he's Mini-Me in Austin Powers. He was having orgies with fucking Playboy centerfolds. And do you think he's doing that on his looks, right? No, he's doing it on power, status. So right. They are kind of almost the top trumps for everything. Fuck.
Right, Genghis Khan's height. Well, he's Mongolian. He wasn't. Let's face it. He wasn't 6 foot. He very unlikely he was over 6 foot. He was described as being. Oh, okay. No, all right. Listen, I take it back. He was described as being tall and stocky. Okay, maybe he was height maxing there, but nevertheless, he wasn't. Let's face it. He wasn't facially a Chad. That's obviously a slightly hubris example. The truth is, if you are high status enough, looks become sort of irrelevant, don't they? Really,
to a large degree, I think.
So why are we not sitting here talking about status maxing?
I don't know, because that's actually very fixable. It's almost like this nihilistic tint that the black pill wants to focus on looks, and they're arguing, you can't change it.
Yes.
But you can change your power and status. You could get famous, or you could build up situational, because it's not a zero-sum game of you're either DiCaprio or you're nothing.
Yes.
There is levels, right? Levels of celebrity within that, or levels of power and influence.
Genghis Khan rode a horse all the time. Height maxing, it's over.
Height maxing.
Horse maxing.
According to old Genghis, the greatest happiness is to vanquish your enemies, to chase them before you, to rob them of their wealth, to see those dear to them bathed in tears, to clasp to your bosom their wives and daughters. But
music to my ears. Look at this bloke here. Cope. But why is it a cope? Are you saying that Lukashenko, who is the
dictator of Belarus,
are you saying he could not get laid? Is that your contention? And if it is, then I don't think you're going to get much support, because it's clearly not true. And and if he is getting laid, then how's he doing it? Because he's not a great-looking guy and he's not particularly tall. So it's all very well to just say stupid things like coke, but you've got to think about the reality of this rather than just.
Mini geomaxing moving seats.
Yeah.
So I guess what's the applicable takeaway for guys who are
get powerful.
Get powerful. Work on basically building up your power base, but really with a focus on socializing. So could it be on a micro level taking more kind of organizational role in kind of your friends, or how would you actually say to go about cultivating a bit more social status and power?
Well, taking an organizational role. Thinking a bit about your career and what it is you're doing. I mean, I think the main thing for me here really is take the onus on looks. If you're sitting around on channels going, the angle of my jaw is not does not measure up to this particular male model, so therefore it's over. I mean, all of that stuff really is a bit of a waste of time because even that male model, who all of these guys are wanky over on the video, is going to get overlooked. If he was in a room with a much more powerful guy who was less attractive, do you really think that he'd win out in that race?
So yeah.
So look. All right. Put it this way, right? So if you're at a party and you've got Lukashenko
right
there, and you've got a model who looks like David Gandy,
right,
ultimately, who's going to get laid out of those two?
Oh, I mean, the dictator. Any time of the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
because who's got the power? Who's got the access to resource?
And I did a chat with old guy who shall not be named, Wheat Waffles, a while ago when he came on the channel. I wanted to give him a platform, right? Because I wanted to allow him, not just shout him down, and allow him to put his point across. But look, again, how much, of these kind of environments has he been in? And he'll be the first to probably admit it. We chat to him. It's not like we're on bad terms. But I would argue he was saying like, oh yeah, hypothetically a good-looking guy in a club would trump a guy with status, like a celebrity. And I was like, that's absolute fucking nonsense. I don't care how good-looking the guy is. If you've got Jack Nicholson in a bar, right, whirling, charging around, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And again, I don't want to bring it back to people who are younger, have less experience, but essentially, it struck me, Mr. Waffles and a number of guys who are more black pill, who are younger, they're lacking that real world application of this, where they've been in environments and they've seen that. I've been in environments with celebrities. I've been in environments with extremely good looking guys in these same environments, and there's not even a remote competition. I mean, it's not even a question of who's getting all the female attention.
Yeah.
And to think otherwise is actually pretty stupid. And again, it shows really a lack of understanding about what really drives women. There's a quote, an adage, which always should look to see if there's any truth in these. Like the one people seem to know a lot about is treat them mean, keep them keen. Which, to be fair, kind of does, by pushing someone away, by being a bit of a dick, they often, will come back if there's any interest there across multiple levels. But the other one is women. We see women as sex objects, right? Because we're all about looks. Women see men as success objects, and that's an adage that's been bounded around for generations. There is some truth to that. In fact, there's a lot of truth to that, right? Yes. Success trumps Donald Trump's.
Well, exactly, and I mean, Donald Trump is a good example. I mean, he was tall. Is he? I mean, he was good looking actually as a young guy. He was a good looking guy. In his later years, would you say he's a Chad? I mean, not really, no. But could that guy get some action when he was president? Yes, of course. Why? Power. Okay? Like I say, looks is the foreplay. The actual thing that we're really talking about here is power, because that's just how society works. The powerful get the spoils in society. They get the money, they get the control, and they get the women, and that has always been the case.
And to say otherwise is actually just stupid.
Well, it's very naive. It's very naive, and it's missing the point.
You're missing the point as well, Ace of Spades. We're not talking about money. We're talking about pure status, right? Mick Hucknall, the singer of Simply Red, is one of the most unattractive men you're ever going to see. Google what he looks like, right? The guy who's a hit, sung some hits in the 80s, right? He's bedded by his own admission about 5,000 women. He looks. You just look Google and see how he looks, right? The reason he is doing that is because he's created a power base where he's got fans screaming his name. He's a global star in terms of releasing music, right? It has nothing to do with
all right, how would you counter this? So Lame Cuck says, now you're saying it's about status. I thought it was about conversation skills and projecting the best version of yourself. I think what we're saying is that
we're not saying game is out the window. We're just we're purely saying from a black pill, this naive assumption that's all about looks. If you had to find the ultimate black pill, right, the ultimate that trumps everything, the ace in the pack, societal status, i.e. celebrity, is that trump. Now it's not a zero-sum game. We're not saying you have to become DiCaprio or you're not pulling a muscle. We're not famous, right? We're massive advocates of game, also massive advocates of building a value across a multitude of areas.
And conversation skills and all of the
learn
things that you
charisma.
mentioned. Because look, the reality is most of us are not supremely powerful, and we're saying max out your status and obviously do everything you can to ensure that. But ultimately, most of us, we're not going to become the president of Belarus or whatever, right? So realistically, yes, of course, you have to work with what's within your remit. For the regular guy, yes, conversation skills, game works. But I mean, one of the reasons the game works, or maybe the main reason the game works, is because it showcases or indicates or implies status. All right, because if you walk around confidently and you approach confidently, like our friend last night in the bar, approached a woman confidently, it gives this implication of status. She thinks, he must be someone. There's something about him,
And that's I think we touched on it, didn't we? Almost this prizing mentality. Where you kind of the old school game stuff is basically fake value, so you don't actually have any inherent value, but the way you're acting women see as that kind of alpha prize that is actually in that position and is acting as someone who's actually cultivated and earned their way into that position in society. Potentially.
Yeah.
Looks and open, the girl is willing to stay longer if you look at and sharpen your mouth, but as the evolutionary psychology says, women are attracted subconsciously by power, and power is status. Yes, I agree. I mean, I don't really even see there's any debate on this. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's even
I think what we're saying is we're not saying games out the window. We're not saying don't improve your conversation, all that stuff. Yeah, obviously do that, and that's the key thing that we're about. But what, as James said, what we are saying is if you had to pick an ace in the pack, and these guys insist on doing that, and they insist on saying it's all about looks, if you had to do that, gun to your head, really, it's not looks, it's status, and that should be obvious to anybody watching this.
So this guy, Matthew Carson, again, Matthew, like, take the guy, what is he called, Jack? He's the founder of Alibaba. He's one of, China's richest men.
Right, yeah.
He's called like Jack something. He's been on stage with Bezos. He's getting laid like a rock star. He dates supermodels, right? Do you think that's on his looks or his height or his ethnicity? No.
Yeah.
Do you think, the guy, the super wealthy in China, the new generation of billionaires, do you think they struggle with women? Because if you do, you're sadly mistaken.
A low status male
Jack
model.
Ma, that's it, sorry.
A low status male model, yeah, he's going to get some action, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But really, when it comes down to it, the super hot model from Siberia, who's she really going to pick? And it comes down to the power. And by the way, the power can also be communicated via a propensity for violence, okay? And you look at sort of criminal kind of guys who can hurt other people, basically. These kind of people who have power in that sort of underworld, ghetto, thug kind of way. These guys, and actually, when we were in Russia, do you remember when we were in Sochi and we were at that bar? And there was a few kind of dodgy characters milling around there, sort of quite hard-looking guys who you wouldn't really want to mess with.
Right.
And those guys were with some very, very sexy, attractive women. All right? These aren't good-looking guys. Some of them were pretty short, facially not aesthetically beautiful. We're not talking about sort of Adonis male model types. They were with some of the hottest girls. There were better-looking guys in the venue. There were sort of, faux male model type guys milling around in the venue. And they weren't getting a look at, okay? Again, it's status. And how is status communicated? Well, you can have a politician who maybe is not physically a threat, but on a sort of on another level, you've also got guys who, they can dominate other men. They're powerful in that. Their status is, I'm a hard bastard and I can,
That's why fighters get fucking laid like rock stars, because it's that primeval instinct.
Exactly.
This guy can own other men, literally own them.
Yeah. Exactly, and that is ultimate, and that actually ultimately that is status, isn't it? Really, it's can you own other men? Do you have domination over other men? Now, a politician or a prime minister or a president doesn't necessarily himself need to be physically hard because he has the apparatus. He's got control of the military and all that kind of stuff. But on another level, on a sort of gang member level, if you've got that hardness, if you've got that domination, that in itself is attractive. Are those guys good looking? Usually not.
No, rarely. They tend to be extremely kind of gangstery.
Yeah.
The epitome of an ugly gangster, really.
Yeah.
Are they getting laid like rock stars? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't want to, but I don't know why. It was just on our brain because we were sitting downstairs
with our dicks in our hands.
With our dicks in our hands, literally in the sauna downstairs here, after hitting the gym. We were just kind of talking on stuff, pontificating, and often we try and do a live stream if we're together when it's a topic in our brains. And this was one on there because we were like, we don't know where this kind of emphasis looks. It must be something to do with the Instagram culture that it just looks as the thing, but it seems to just be missing the point, doesn't it? That it is power and status, and it's always been like that for every generation.
It's not, and this, by the way, this is not to say that looks don't matter. This is not to say that if you're a 6 foot incredibly good looking guy, you're going to be advantaged by that. Yes, of course you are. But what I think we're saying is ultimately in the final analysis, if you strip everything away, who's really going to be successful? Ultimately, it's the powerful guy. And that's just historically always been the case. This is why there are wars. This is why dictators invade other countries. This is why people become dictators, right? It's for access. It's for sexual access. And that's the real black pill. And I would argue all of this looks stuff is just
looks is out the window, really. But then it comes down to money versus celebrity status, right? And I would argue actually celebrity status, a broke celebrity will still probably be able to pull more women than a multi-millionaire with lacking game. Obviously, if you have both, you become a super alpha. People like DiCaprio. Not only is he famous, he's got millions in the bank.
Well, we know multimillionaires. We were hanging out with one last week, weren't we?
There were two crypto guys working with us in Helsinki. Neither of them can pull a muscle. Now, they've got unlimited funds in the bank, but they don't have social status. They don't have power. They're not well known. So being well known really is the ultimate aphrodisiac, isn't it, to women?
Yes.
Basically being a celebrity.
Now, we were talking about this as well before, and we were saying, well, are we just saying therefore just be a pop star or be a film star? And it's
if you can, yeah.
If you can, yes. But
there we go. Giga Chad, they're right. Take it from me. He's popped back up, the legendary Giga Chad.
Giga Chad knows. But you could also have a sort of local thing. You know, we were saying like in an individual city, there are people who are sort of well known in that city who are cleaning up with the best women in that city. And it's like, oh, you know, Klaus, he's this multimillionaire. No one kind of knows where he got his money from. He's very powerful. You know, it's not necessarily about being a worldwide celebrity. Within a micro society, you can also clean up. The most powerful men within whatever hierarchy, you know, we're talking about, like the most powerful men in Warsaw, for example, probably not very well-known guys, probably nobody we've ever heard of or will ever hear of. Those guys, you can guarantee, will be cleaning up. Over and above, you know, whoever the pretty boy male models are who live here.
100%. I mean, it's a no-brainer. What's
Ian saying?
Ian? Good looks, health, and fitness are a status symbol, but good looks with no personality is very incongruent with men. Looks show you look after yourself and back yourself, which counts. Okay. There is a difference between opportunistic sex and sex by lust and arousal.
The ace of spades.
The
ace of spades.
He's arguing that basically women won't be turned on will be turned on only if you're good looking, but not by power. It's just missing the point. I mean, to be honest, we just wanted to voice it because it was on our heads, on our brains. We don't want to backturn this into
a big debate about
it. Because look, what we're really saying is, and we've always said, is holistic overall self-development, maxing out every area: the fitness, the fashion, the social skills, the social status, the power, language learning, traveling, living an interesting reality. Max out every fucking thing.
I'm not even really sure this is true anyway, to be honest, because, you know, again, you've just got to look at the ugly, violent fighter who's got the beautiful women with him. Are they viscerally turned on by him? Yes, I think they are.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, these guys aren't particularly, it's the ability to dominate other men. You know, and this is pretty nasty stuff. This is not pretty.
This is power.
Like human nature. Human nature is not pretty.
That's it. What else is on anything else we want to discuss on this topic, or anything else we want to kind of discuss? We've got to keep it relatively short because we're in a bit of a rush. Mr. Francois is off to London.
Sunny London.
You're going to be there for a while, are you? Or?
With my dick in my hand.
So if guys are looking for coaching, Mr. Francois will be back in London.
It's TBC. Not necessarily. I'm going to be in Berlin soon anyway because we're doing the training in Berlin on the 9th of September.
That's a very good point. So for those of you, just a quick recap.
Warsaw next week as well.
Warsaw next weekend. That we just put that out as an impromptu one. We're doing it as a discounted boot camp. £1,000 less than we'd normally do for 4 days. It's £2,000 buy-in. There are 2 spaces remaining. If you want to come for just the day, it's £650. 2 days times that by 2, etc., etc. So we're allowing it to be chop and change, but we'd recommend if you can afford it, then it's a worthy investment to do all 4 days. That immersion is great. We've got us talking you through everything you need to know. You know, teaching you direct day game, verbally, structurally, listening to what you're doing, correcting your mistakes, correcting your body language, how you sound, your eye contact, whether to go on an instant date or take a phone number, how to text her, how to get her out, what to actually do on the day. It's a complete course.
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and we can pretty quickly diagnose, you know, where you're going wrong, where you're going right, but where you're going wrong as well, and just help you to fix it. And sometimes it's just those few tweaks. I mean, we had guys on the event in Helsinki last week, and, you know, one guy, you know, was just he was going in sort of too theatrical a way. He was making a big song and dance of it when he went in. We got him to tone that down, and he ended up on a 5-hour day with a really hot girl. So,
and two guys, you know, I don't want to go too much into this, you know, receipt stuff, but people seem to demand it. There were 2 guys who hadn't ever got sexual with a woman before. One guy originally from Pakistan living in Stockholm, and one Irish lad, and they both lost their virginities during the time in Helsinki. Poland, just to re-emphasize, if you haven't been here, if you are living here, you know it's great for women.
Safe pair of hands.
It's a safe pair of hands. If you haven't been here before, it's fully open and it's really, really good. So that is next weekend. That's the 2nd to the 5th of September. Drop us an email if you want to discuss. Include your WhatsApp number. We'll get on a phone call with you. And then the one after that, if you prefer, the following weekend, we're going to be in Berlin, 9th to the 12th of September. We've still got 2 spaces left for that as well. How much is one-to-one day game? It depends. We do a smaller taster session for 2 hours for £279. The boot camps obviously go up to that. Obviously, the more you spend, the more time you get. But again, best thing to do is just, everyone's different, right? So best thing to do is send us an email. We'll jump on a call with you and we'll have a chat about your circumstance and tell you what we'd recommend to do based on trying to get you from A to B as quickly as possible, whatever those kind of pain points, sticking points are.
Do only Chads get laid? Yes.
Well, we can't pull a muscle, so no. The ultimate Giga Chad sitting right here. Can't
the ultimate Giga Chad. Well, I mean, look at Helsinki.
Okay, Helsinki.
Let's not mention Helsinki.
Looks are supremely important, and men would be foolish not to maximise their looks and physique. I've seen one woman proposition about
Yeah.
No, I actually agree with him. Looks are important alongside everything else. So max out the looks.
No, I agree. I agree with him as well. But what we're saying, no, he's absolutely right. But what we're saying is, in the end, when it comes down to it, even if the dude's a Giga Chad, if the president walks in or somebody with supreme power, that person with the power is going to win out.
Yes, 100%.
Because ultimately it comes down to status. It doesn't come down to looks. Yes, looks are incredibly important. But in the end, status trumps looks.
Just accept the fact society is driven by looks. I mean, definitely from the male perspective to female, yes, it's completely propagated on looks. But it's the whole thing about the guy showing a six pack in the thing, right? Who gives him the likes? Who gives him the validation? It's men. Women don't give a fuck. I mean, yes, would they prefer a guy with low body fat percentage rather than dad bod? Probably. Do they care as much about it as we care about a massive pair of tits or slim waist? No, I don't think they do. They care about power and charisma and status.
Well, he says it's a code for you compared to looks. Eventually, if you become a millionaire, it doesn't make sense with women. Well, yeah, we just said that because we were on a boot camp last week. We were training on a boot camp last week with at least 2 millionaires who were on the boot camp. We were as students. We were teaching them, and they couldn't pull a muscle. So yeah, you're right.
Hence why they were on the boot
camp.
So
yeah, you're right. Becoming a millionaire in itself doesn't make success with women, but we're not talking about wealth because, as James just clarified, we're talking about power, and that's a slightly different thing.
But what we're really saying, and we've always said, and nothing changes, is max out every area. You're stupid if you don't, because we see guys like who have really good game, and then we meet them, and they're like, we're like, man, why do you, fashion? They're just dressed like chumps. It's like you do realise you've got great game, fine, but if you actually then got to the gym and improve your fashion, it's going to be another level in terms of results. You're always going to be trying to level up. So max out all these key areas. If you don't know what the key areas are, get in touch and we can lift them out for you. But it's blatantly obvious. It's max out your fashion grooming, be in good shape, have a job you actually enjoy that you're doing for 8 hours a day, earn money as much as you can, learn languages, learn to fight, live an interesting reality. Those are the big ones off the top of my head I can think of. And there's no reason you can't. That sphere of control, controlling the controllables, they're all within your remit to control.
Yeah.
So there's no blaming the outside world. They're all within your remit.
Yeah. There's another thing as well, which is quite a complicated topic, and we need to do another stream on it at some point. But I've tried to do many streams on it. It's very hard to communicate, which is the thing that really marks guys aside in how success of this is the ability to communicate sexuality.
Right. And
I'm thinking of our friend Mr. B, who was say his full name.
Yeah, Brett.
Brett. So I'm thinking of our friend Brett, who was one of the trainers in Helsinki, who's a guy that you've worked with, a number of times in the past. A good guy. I met him for the first time, and this is a guy who is he has an edge to him. And I said it to you, didn't I? As soon as I met him, he's got that edge to him, and his game is very much based on eye contact. He's got this very sexualized eye contact with women. Is he a great looking guy? He's a good looking guy.
He's okay, but he doesn't. His fashion's okay. He doesn't go to the gym. He's super skinny.
He's not hugely tall or anything like that, but he's got this sexual intensity about him, and he does incredibly well.
Women can just smell that.
And I was saying to James, I mean, one of the issues when you look at the typical person who comes to a boot camp, and don't want to stereotype, but when you look at people who have a challenge in this area, they tend to be very nice guys. They tend to be very sort of just regular dudes, right? But they're not communicating that sexual intensity, that sexual energy. And if you could do that, that changes up the game.
He's also with his friend who I know, a guy called Chris, who's similar. He doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Just looking at women in a sexual way. and just makes them feel a certain way.
And this I think is quite a difficult thing to teach. I've tried to teach it. I tried to teach it on when I do my course, Charisma and Dating Academy. It's one of the key things that I'm trying to teach because I'm talking all about dark triad, so on and so forth. As I say, this is another topic really, but just to say that that's a tweak that a lot of guys can make, and that is going to change up the game. It's sort of the communication of sexuality, bringing that sexual vibe into the interaction really makes a difference, I think.
Couldn't agree more. Final thoughts as we need to run.
Pierogi is great. We've had some great pierogies.
We've had some great pierogies. We're looking forward to this. We're both actually kind of counting down when we leave Europe. So there's not many of these probably coming up because, you know, we go to sunnier climes. So if you've been watching this content for a while, if you're interested in working with us, highly, highly encourage you while you can and while we're available and while we're still alive, not to jinx it.
This guy said, what's your long-term game plan? Don't you feel the call to start a family and fulfill your civic duty for Queen and country? I think actually the Queen telegrammed me personally and asked me not to procreate. She just said it would be a bad idea for the country. So
for Queen and country, James, for Queen and country. Yeah.
But if the Queen's was up for it, then would you?
I mean, there's that scene in Peep Show, isn't there, where he's kind of like he wants to have a wank and he's lacking material and he gets out this scrumpled £5 note. He's like, "All right, Queenie, let's do it." And he's doing the old 5-finger shuffle.
You have to be patriotic in that sense. I think if the call came, I think you'd have to.
The thing is, as well, just a final corollary to this, power doesn't work the other way around. So I don't give a fuck if like Jennifer Lopez is hitting me up. Because if you gave me a smoking hot Siberian unknown woman in her prime, I would take her over Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
So don't be foolish and think it works the other way around. Women and men are different. We're the yin to the yang. It's not competitive. You just prioritize different things.
In fact, if anything, it's a well for many people, it's a bit of a turn off. And this is not to say women shouldn't be powerful. Women should, have success and everything else. Of course they should. But for us personally, I think if the girl is quite ballbustery.
Yeah.
That's not something
masculinized.
It's just we were talking about these some American girls that we've met, and who are very sort of like well, a woman asked you what your bottom line was, didn't she? What's your bottom line?
It's like, okay, game over. See you later.
Yeah, so it doesn't work both ways.
No. There you go, lads. Warsaw 2nd to 5th. Berlin 9th to 12th. A couple of spaces available each. Send myself or Troy an email. What's your email again?
Troy@realtroyfrancis.com
or info@jamessuss.com. Include your WhatsApp number. And it's been a pleasure. We will be reuniting soon. I will be off now to St. Petersburg. I fly tomorrow. There's a meetup on the Wednesday. If you are in St. Petersburg or you're based in a different Russian city and you fancy popping down, having a pint with me, I'll be having a beer 5 till 7:30 p.m. Location TBC in the middle of St. Petersburg. I know there's a few active day games there because I've had a few guys come up to me when I was last year. So it'd be great to meet a few of you. And stay tuned for Warsaw next weekend and then the following weekend. The City of Sin, your semi-hometown where you have residency, Berlin.
I know. The dark, the city of sex.
Bring your gimp suit, bring your safety word. We're going to Berkheim. No, we're not.
It's closed. We'll try. Actually, Kit Kat's open.
Kit Kat Club's open.
Kit Kat's open. There could be a lucky few. We might try Kit Kat Club.
That could be an interesting one. Cool, lads. It's been a pleasure. We'll do it again soon.
Pierogi.